Hit it. And there we go. We are back again with another Lucius live. That was a clip.
I know we're not gonna talk about it. Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
We're just back. We're back, guys. Yeah,
we're back. Another week gone by, and this glorious 2022. I'm kind of ready for it to be over, man.
Oh, whoa! That didn't take long.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's the winter, because like here it's been super fucking cold, and also like snowing every other day.
Oh yeah.
It'll melt, then snow again, melt and snow again. It's like I get constant reminders, like, oh, winter weather advisory. I'm like, oh, great, awesome. We just got out of like the last batch. Now we're due for a fresher batch.
A fresher batch of snow. I like it.
Yeah. How you doing, Luke? What's going on?
I'm great. Not much. Just got some news to share. Second Guts 2, the campaign will be launching January 27th, and we'll be doing the premiere launch on Bancroft's channel on the 27th. Nice. So that's all locked in. And the other thing is that the artwork for the book is all completely done.
Coloring and everything.
Yeah, everything's done more or less. Just got to make a few fixes, like edits and stuff like that. But yeah, it's done. It's ready to go. So we're all in. It's all in good shape. Gonna hit the ground running.
Very nice. I'm gonna drop that link for the people. Nice, quick, and easy access. To the campaign page or the sign up page right now.
Sign up page.
Yeah, and
at least you're able to post the link as opposed to some
it can be
other comics YouTuber.
Hey, now we've all been there.
We've all been there. There it is. Sign up today.
This is what you should see when you get there.
Yeah.
Sign up. Do they get any like special dealio for signing up?
I
nice add-on or a little discount.
I don't know. But I will say the first 100 people who back the campaign will get a trading card. So there you go.
All right.
So if you sign up, you'll know ahead of time when the campaign goes live, and then you'll be able to get that trading card. So there.
Nice. Very nice. So anything else big going on besides you wrapped this project? How long have you been chipping away at this? Just out of curiosity.
Feels like years. It feels
really
like years. It just feels really long. I mean, I'm relieved that it's over. It feels like I just got done running a massive marathon or something.
What's the most like time-consuming, annoying part for you? Like, what do you struggle with the most?
I guess the coloring.
It is like it kind of sucks. I can say from anything I've ever worked on, it's easily doubling up your time, especially if you're doing the flats. That's like the most.
Well, I mean, I've paid for someone to do the flats. So even then,
it's worth it.
I have to go in and like fix because he doesn't understand how color theory works or what color theories I'm doing. He colored Skull Knight 2 different ways, even though I gave him like a color chart on where to color what. So I had to go in and like recolor the fucking flats for Skull Knight.
That sucks. Really sorry to hear that, but glad to know that you. I mean, you're pretty much in tip-top shape. You'll be ready to go once the campaign's over.
And then the economy will collapse.
We'll see. Or
the
maybe
the day that I launch, the economy will go.
Yeah, maybe we go to war with Russia.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Probably.
We're in for one hell of a year.
Yeah, 2020 version 2. So anyway, Lucius, what's been going on in your world? Any big topics you want to talk about?
Oh man, I mean, I had stuff pull up.
Comic skate topics, comic books and
Hmm.
facts,
Hmm.
maybe.
Well, I'm going to be going into like reviews of stuff. Finally get my shit together on that, and make a probably second rate job of it. But yeah, I'm looking to do books that are at least semi relevant. Yours, since you have a upcoming campaign, and Graveyard Shift Volume 3. I'm guessing
Oh.
I'll do the whole set because I never covered any of it. But I guess Volume 3 is the most relevant one. It's the most recent one.
And what
Um,
did you think of Graveyard Shift Volume 3?
it kind of left me a little high and dry as far as like it was a lot,
Mm.
but it was kind of like it needed to breathe more. It was a
So
less is more sort of thing. It needed to
when
pause.
you say a lot, like, can you elaborate on that? Can you be a little more specific? A lot of what?
Well, like you open it up and it's kind of like an exposition dump. They're talking about like old gods and sending a signal and all the stuff, and I'm like, okay, wait, what? It's been a while since I've read the old book. I'm like, okay, well, I go back to that, and it's hardly any more help than where we start at in that book.
Mm.
And by the end, I like they send a signal out into space, and I'm like, wait, what was that about? Like I've read through. There's probably 40 pages, between this exposition dump and this thing, and I'm like, wait, what just happened here? I'm not even
Yeah.
sure the significance of this. New characters get introduced. I think it's at least three. It might be four, five, six. I forget. I mean, basically doubling up the cast
Mm.
that's there, and I'm just like, who? I don't even remember these characters. Where are they coming from? What's going on? There's a character gets like introduced, and then not too much later, he gets just killed. I don't think it's
Wow.
any surprise because I think John's even mentioned on stream, like, yeah, this one guy killed this other guy when he talked about his thing, and I was just like, there's no build up, there's no like slugfest anything. It's kind of like, if you're gonna drop in a character, there should be some kind of pool. There should be something to it. I guess he just looked imposing, and that was enough. But
Mm.
uh, I think he only had one speech balloon. I believe I'll have to double
Jeez.
check on this. I'll be more thorough when I actually go to review it. But it just in the volume one I thought was decent, good starting point. Volume two I thought was good. Volume three just didn't really. It was just too much going on. It needed to be simplified. I was really looking forward because the whole thing was like, oh, there's going to be this werewolf invasion, and yes, it happens, but like that should have been all it was, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
then you do like a little bit of setup to go into the next book. But I was actually surprised at how that was minimized, and even gosh, I wish I off the top of my head I can't think of the artist's name, but I remember seeing he would do these panels. I thought they were double page spreads, like
Mm.
from what I saw on Twitter,
Yeah.
and then I go to like look in the book, and they're dude, like the size of our boxes that we are our little speech bouncy balls are in here, like that's the size it was like on like the page, and I'm like, that's it. Like, that's as big as it gets. I thought this was gonna be this huge spread because it was like werewolves like jumping over cars and stuff like that, and it was like a fraction of one page. I thought that was like a money shot that should have been blown up, made the like sell the like this carnage and calamity of the whole thing. So I think it was one of those things where like I thought this guy had really good dynamics, especially large group shots, which is really hard to do, really hard to nail. Where like everything stands out from one another, like you
Mm.
don't lose characters on top of other stuff and everything.
Mm.
Like did it really well, but it's like you put it into this corner like where there's one that's like almost postage stamp size on it. I'll have to I'll go over it in my review when I
Okay.
actually hit it. But yeah, it was just kind of like, man, it as much as like decompressed storytelling can suck, it really needed it. Like it needed this like a 25% uh a little more relaxed
It
storytelling.
needed an editor, it sounds like.
I think they're going for balls to the wall kind of thing, but it's like you went too much. Like
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where an editor comes really in handy, where it's a fresh set of eyes, and they're like, you need to sort of like pump the brakes here a little bit, but you inundating the reader with too much information, they're going to be overwhelmed.
I don't want to shit on anybody too much. I mean, what do I have to show? But as far as a
reader,
we're
not shitting on people. We're just being critical.
Okay, yeah,
you can be critical.
But yeah, I would say like for me, like I would hand it off to somebody who has no interest in anything I'm doing. Is be like, wait, what do you think of this, and see what they would say, and they'd be like, I think they'd just be completely lost, overtaken by the whole thing if they had it. And I actually, my favorite part, so I got, I think it was the Blood Bag. So I got the Volume 1, Volume 2 combo book, the Volume 3 book, and then I got the supplemental. And my favorite thing in the whole thing was Narwhal's story, which is probably the least graveyard shift thing there is. So it's if you don't know, it's about Lilith, who's the bombshell babe character.
Yes.
But she's a child, and she's growing up in this like fractured home. Her father's dead, and she has an abusive mother. And she has this. There's a statue of the father in their like garden. It's a mansion estate, but she's essentially like a Cinderella character. Like this is the evil stepmother. That's like locking her up and telling her what to do and all this stuff. And it has a little bit of magic in it, but it's not this big fighting thing or whatever. It's just kind of like I said, like a Cinderella story or something like that, where it's like she in the end, gets out of the situation, through her own just belief, really, and following her own intuitions on what to do, and it all works out for her. But I it's very minimalist. It's like a Narwhal kind of like he only tells you as much as you need to know. Like it's not a ton of dialogue or a ton of explanation. Like it's all just like he shows rather than tells, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, that's always Narwhal's really good at that.
He's very focused on his narrative craft. That's the one thing I really appreciate. Besides his way of getting away with such a minimalistic style and still making it work. I'm so jealous of it.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, like
it's just like
I'm always like, I mean, it looks like he's kind of like phoned it in, but people respond to it. So I don't know. He's doing something magical there. So
there's some misses, there's some whiffs, I think, in what he does, but like his action stuff, like it just has a kinetic energy, just because there's nothing. Like it's so flowing that it kind of works. And it's just like it's kind of like where you could, what's the least amount of detail you need to sell the shot,
he's Narwhal's a former storyboard artist just like me, so
okay, I didn't know that about him. I remember hearing him talk about how he was working for a comic book company, and they're just like, hey, can you do like the whole book yourself? He's like, I guess so. And he jumped in, and that's kind of like where he got his style, because he just had to do it quick. Yeah. So he was like, just like, okay, well, what I can't do in line art, I'll make up with colors or shading or whatever. And that's where he honed or developed that style that we see now.
No, that's true. Yeah. I do remember him saying that. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, that's I mean, I'm kind of giving away a little bit about those, but yeah, I'll be going into that. Looking at others, I'll have to find what's coming up. I guess I'll review other stuff too, but I'd rather kind of be relevant. I also went like down a rabbit hole. Fairly recent. Well, not much of one, but your boy Zach videos. I had like I've probably been missing the past month. Like as far like I was watching them pretty regularly, and then I just kind of drifted away, right? Yeah. And then like I'm looking at this backlog, so now I'm picking and choosing them. I'm not so interested in like what Marvel or the comic book industry artists are saying right now about whatever. But it was interesting. He did like his own like survey on late books, how people react to late books, and I was reading through the comments. I was looking at his charts, graphing campaigns, and he's kind of judging himself up against them.
Yeah.
And he got something like in his own poll. And if you know anything about statistics, it's really hard to get good statistics, like solid statistics. You know, if you like, so for in his case, he's conducting this poll on his own YouTube community page or whatever it is. It's like a little community section, you know, vote on this poll, everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's very, I'm subscribed to him. I don't even look at this thing. So it's very limited amount of people that are going to see it. It's limited to his own audience, B, his own audience who looks at this, is aware of it, and then C, the people that take the time to even hit a button, fill it out or whatever. And he had what's acceptable lateness. So it was like 1 to 3 months, 6 to 12 months, a year, or what's unacceptable. And then, you know, as long as I get the book or something like that, they don't really care. Yeah. And then there's people who are just like, any lateness is unacceptable. And it was like 16% of the people said any lateness is unacceptable. And I mean, that's a very strong mark to make, but it's understandable. As somebody who worked in like a job where there were estimates and there's timetables,
yes,
people will fucking hold you to that, and you got to be ready for that at any point in time. And 16% is a very significant number. And if there's one thing you should be hitting for if you're going to do your own campaign, is like making sure it's like hitting all that, like you're keeping up with what you're supposed to do,
or at least giving regular updates.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, if you just give us updates, if you just give us information, and that's another thing too, where like you hit a fucking snag. There's any business, I mean, there's any number of places this thing gets fucked up. I mean, there's these videos of people like looting train cars.
Yes,
in Los Angeles. It's like
Los Angeles, yeah.
You know, when your inventory system says, yeah, it's on a boat, it's actually in the shipyard, it's on its way here, we estimate this week, and then assholes open up the fucking freight and steal out of it.
Yeah,
you're fucked. Somebody was fucked in that. Who was expecting that to come in, especially with the supply chain is fucked over as it is right now, like even worse. So there's all sorts of, and there was Amazon packages, all sorts of things in those cars. So, I mean, that was stuff that was already tagged, you know, with tracking that's just lost in the ether. So there's all sorts of ways it gets fucked up. It could be the point of order gets fucked up. The customer might fuck up their own information. Your timetable might get completely shifted around because suddenly the printer tells you, sorry, we can't make it happen. And
like they're booked out or something. They already got a bunch of jobs.
Oh, well, you know, if you don't have a small time person, you go to somebody, because everybody was going to some Canadian place that was doing like DC comics. I think that's what Ethan went with, and a number of other guys went with. But you're small potatoes to them. They have $1 million orders.
Yeah,
you know, like, what do you think? You're not. It's not like first come first serve. It's like the big money gets served first, and when we got the time, we'll work you in.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's fucked up when it gets, like, let's say they print it out, then they pack it up, ship it to you. You get a batch that sucks. They'll replace it, but now you're back in the line again. That kind of a thing. It's all sorts of ways you can, and you can mess up.
Plan.
Yeah, you can mess it up. Like, you mess up your shipping, you mess up there's any number of ways you just screw it up. So account for as much error as you can, give yourself some padding, and, you know, try to hit it. And I expect a lot of first timers are going to screw that all up. I think the worst thing right now, a number of these projects have been sitting around for over a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And no updates, no idea. Like, everyone's in the dark, and you're just like, so that's money out the window. I would count on it's never going to get to me. And I was going through some of the campaign pages, looking at the comments. You know, there'd be like 100, 200 comments on a campaign that's just been sitting at funding, and just no new updates, no new anything, you know, announced, you know, over a year ago.
Yeah.
And people are just like, yeah, just refund me I'm campaign number or contributor number this, refund my money. That's got to sting, you know? And it's like one after the other after the other. So, you know, it certainly matters. And it's a funny thing because it is a campaign thing. And I think there's a lot of first-time creators where you kind of need the money before you can invest everything into it. You know, it's rare somebody can do what you're doing. It's like, book's ready to go, you know. So
well, I mean, I only wanted to make the book ready to go this time because obviously last time I ran into a lot of the pitfalls you just listed.
Right. So you had your learning experience.
I learned from it, but the other thing was that was kind of my own fault because, like, you got to understand the context. I tried to launch Forsaken Gods before, and it just failed spectacularly, and everybody in the animation, and this was, I think, 2018 maybe, or maybe 2019. And this is when everybody was ostracizing me in animation, and they're all laughing at me, saying, "Hey, why don't you launch your campaign? Ha 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 ha." And so, you know, my morale was at an all-time low, and you know, I think it was that campaign where I went. John Malin had me on, and he gave me a lot of pointers about, you know, what makes a good campaign, and I took that all to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I relaunched it, you know, I was still kind of a bit trepidatious. I guess I was like, well, you know, I don't want to make a book, draw a book, get it done, and then, like, you know, not fulfill the campaign because it had already happened before. But then, of course, you know, at that stage, I was like fully out of that circle, so to say, and in with the Comicsgate dudes. And it did get fulfilled, and so now I'm like having to do a mad scramble of like, oh shit, now I got to finish the damn book, and it took longer than I expected because I said it was going to be in color, and that was the thing that John Byrne had pointed out, like people like color books. And
yeah, I think
I'd continuously given updates saying, or when I go on streams, I'd be like, yeah, it'll be easy, I'll get it done in no time, no problem. But I hadn't anticipated that doing color would be like a massive time sink, and it was. It's like it just the deadlines I would placing, I would continuously put new deadlines saying, oh, it's going to be done by this month, and then that would get blown out, and then I put a new one in, that'd get blown out, and then eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to give any more deadlines because I just keep fucking this up. So I mean, I was just super focused on trying to like get it done and get it out, and
yeah, and you really, I mean, I know you take it really to heart, like you really kick yourself over that. You weren't that bad. Like there's campaigns
people say that, and sure, there's campaigns that haven't been around, but the thing is like you're only as good as your last campaign. Just like in storyboards, you're only as good as your last storyboard, and if you do a bad one, that's your last storyboard. You know what I mean? So you're only as good as your last campaign, and that's more on an individual basis, or at least that's the way I see it. So, you know, it was just shy of a year late. I managed to get it all fulfilled, like, I think because I launched it in June or July, or it might have been August, and then everything got fulfilled around June and July of that next year. So it was just shy of 1 year late.
Yeah, the stretch goal that will sink people's entire time frames is color. Like if they were playing in black and white, and then what usually happens is somebody gets in their ears like, you know, you should really do color. You'll sell a lot more books. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you say it, and like you ran into that where it's just like, okay, now you just doubled up your time or more doing that. And the other one is adding pages. Adding pages is another one that is just like, no, I wouldn't do that. I would
another thing that I did, but thankfully when I said adding pages, I would just be adding like those sketch pages in the back. So those aren't hard to do, but you're right. Yeah.
Right. I would say if I were looking at doing that, I would consider it like a supplemental story or an add-on story, expanded story.
Yeah.
Don't mess with your main story. Your main story, lock it in. I think 48 pages is a good length to go at. Like as a book set, but you know, it's all in multiples of like 2, right, or 4, like the page counts that they print on.
Multiples of 4, yeah. I mean, if it's square bound, yeah, and even if
just
it's stapled, yeah.
Yeah, just figure 8 pages extra story, you know, at this goal, and you already have it planned out. You just have to draw it out, do whatever. Like it's still considered a stretch goal. You haven't sunk the time in, but 8 pages, as long as you know, like you have it scripted, laid out, like you have the thumbnails, like you should be able to rock that out without too much time wasted.
Theoretically,
but some people, there are some campaigns that like doubled, like they went from 40 to 80, and it's like,
you idiot,
dude. Why? Well, like it sounds great to the customer, but they're thinking you're still going to get it done in that time frame, or
you kind of fucked yourself.
It's a little late, but you still do it.
Yeah. Anyway, oh man,
and
but I learned a lot, and I learned that you know, the one thing I seem to notice is that these guys don't really seem to take crowdfunding seriously. You know.
Well, as far as the end product, I kind of think the main guys, there's more money for them to be made just hosting YouTube channels,
sure,
and taking into super chats, and like you know, in one night they can make $100, no problem.
Yeah,
off of a YouTube show, and they just show up 5 nights a week, $500 in their pocket, and
that's time they could be using to get the damn book done.
Yeah, but then they also keep, you know, hitting up their like they mention it, you know, they drop it, maybe another buyer comes in, maybe they have a hot night because they got in a feud with somebody, and it jumps up by a few thousand, and what was a 50,000 campaign 6 months later is $100,000 campaign. You know, while they sat on it, you know, and not to say like they're not doing anything, but they're not working at their professional pace. You know, that thing would have been done ages you know, before the campaign was over if they were doing that. But that's all they'd be doing. They barely have time to do the shows and stuff.
They're streaming all the fucking time. That's why.
And that was
like,
go on.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, look, you know, I know you give me shit saying that I abandoned my channel, but that's because spending all the time trying to get the book done, dude. It's like
I don't have a book, and just doing one show a week, I'm like,
it's a drain.
Kind of tops. Yeah.
But look, I think guys like someone like Ethan and John Malin who can do both like regularly, like that takes a lot of brain power. And like I tip my hat to them, because I sure as fuck couldn't do it, because that's a grind, dude.
Ethan's not really. I mean, now he's hunkering down and doing pages, but his thing was doing everything. He was doing toys. He was doing reprints. He was doing collected editions, and all this, like, and that's a lot to manage. Like, and he's working with statue guys. He's working with T-shirts. He's working with, like, he's managing a huge operation. Then he's having to get a warehouse. Like, that's a lot of shit to deal with. But it's like this whole time, the Wreck Planet book has just been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and like people have gotten like impatient about it.
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like when he's doing all this other stuff, he's away from the drawing board.
Right.
So, like an artist, you need time to make good art. So, and when you're distracted or preoccupied doing this other stuff, which I understand you need to do, because you know he's built an amazing business. It's like, I don't know, maybe consider hiring artists to do your stuff for you. It's kind of like how your boy Zach does it. So
it's a tricky thing, because I think the big sell of his books is that he's doing the art. You know,
I mean, but that's the choice you got to make.
Him down. So, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the choice every entrepreneur of that type has to make. Every art, like, do you want to spend time managing the business that makes you the money, or do you want to spend time doing the book and hiring someone to take the role of managing the business? I mean, like, it's very rare that you can find someone who can do all of that and just do it perfectly. Like, that's so rare. Like, probably the only person I know that can do that is probably Todd McFarlane. But it's like you eventually, you know, you got to bite the bullet at some point and be like, well, I you know, what do you want to do, right? Do you want to sit and draw? Or do you want to build this empire? And if you prefer to be in control and build the empire, then you might have to think about, you know, putting out auditions or art tests for people who want to draw a Cyberfrog, you know. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go for him. Honestly.
I mean, he could still write it.
Yeah.
I mean, being a writer is, it's words
Do
on the page.
cover art. Do maybe
Yeah, do
like
a
4
cover.
pages or some shit.
Yeah, do a cover,
Something
or maybe like a
poster.
4-page backup or something.
Yeah, like something where like you're still in the book, but you're not having to make the whole book and do all your other stuff. Spin all these other plates that you got going at the time.
But I mean,
So,
it's hard for Ethan because he's like such an amazing draftsman as well. I know I'm kind of like I'm tooting his horn here, but it's true. Like, there's a reason why people back it, because it's like, he's done so much. Like, his volume of work is so insane and so amazing. Like, it's like true illustration. So he'd never be an animator, though. He could never be an animator.
And that was one of the watching through those your boy Zach videos. I had completely stopped really tracking like the Tim Lim, Common America.
Well, I'm friends with those guys. What do you want to know about it?
Oh well, I just kind of looked them up too. Like this is like stuff like I said, I went down this rabbit hole, like this deep dive of like because he's mentioning their progression.
Well, that's
Iconic, and
that's
then
because go ahead. Sorry.
Well, like people in the comments are also saying, these are books like where I buy them and a few weeks later I have it. Like there's almost no wait time at all. The books are ready to go.
They do well. They got a very good operation. Like I would talk to Tim and Mark and be like, "How do you guys do it?" And they usually do the books get them done ahead of time. So then they launch the campaign, and then once everything's done, they send everything out, and it's all like clockwork. They just keep they go on that treadmill. They just keep churning it out, and it's always on time, and people really appreciate it. They're doing it the right way, and that's why now they're like. Because when they first started, they weren't really raising that much. But with each successive book and each deadline that they hit, like people appreciated it, and more people were like, sweet, I order my book and then my book shows up. It's great. Like that's what people want. They don't want to wait for a thing that they paid for. They hate that. Customers hate that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of trying to do the same thing. I probably should have done that at the start, but they've been very helpful. They've kind of given me pointers on that stuff as well. But
I probably have 4 or 5 books I've backed, just still waiting on, and it's just been like, man, that was the thing. I was like checking on that stuff today. I'm like, what's the latest update? What's the news on that? I'm just like, damn, like, can I even expect it this year? That's what I'm wondering.
Did you back Common America?
I am not, no, but
if you did, you'd already have a whole bunch.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like they're going to keep selling it, right? So they do the next volume. I'm sure I can get everything before it if I wanted to, and that's like.
Well, they're working on. I think they're working on volume 5 and volume 6 right now.
Yeah. So. And that was one of the things. Eric Canete. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Like he did like a art book that looked really dope, and your boy Zach featured that on one of his videos. Drop, I think was what it's called.
Yep.
And like I was like, oh, that looks really great, but I couldn't find it as a standalone book. Like I went to their site and everything, I couldn't find it as a standalone book. It was in the campaign that he had, so missed out. But maybe they pulled it up again. I don't know, or it was just a limited edition.
FOMO.
Yep. But that's how you get people to like tune in and keep eyes on the projects you got going on. But yeah, that's kind of
there's been a bit of hubbub about Iconic Comics though. Like people are trying to figure out what the deep dark secret is, how they're able to get these books out on time. And I think Tim and Doug Ernst did a stream recently where they're like, no secret. We just work hard and make sure we hit our deadlines and make sure that everyone gets their books in a timely manner.
Well, and that's a lesson to take. Like I think the mid-tier creators, that's even if you don't have like a blowout success, if you manage to hit your campaign goals, like as far as your funding, and you got your book out and people liked it, your next one's going to do better. Like it's like
I would add to that. The trick is do all those things and make sure you hit your fulfillment deadline.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Get it out as soon. Well, you kind of just said as long as you get it out. That could mean anything. As long as you get it out.
Well,
tomorrow, next year, 2 years from now.
No. You get it. Yeah, I meant get it out on time. Get it out to the people like when you say you're going to get it out.
Get it out as soon as possible. People will appreciate that. They appreciate books that arrive on time.
Which is kind of a funny thing to say, but not only is comic campaigns guilty of not. It's like a crowd campaign across the board.
Yeah, that's a curse of crowdfunding in general. Yeah, and it's terrible because the model of crowdfunding is, I think, a pretty cool model. You know what I mean? And it's
right. You print to whatever you need. You don't have to overprint. You have to hold on to like a whole lot of overhead or anything. That's like the beauty of it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's just a few motherfuckers who see the money and go, yeah, we'll do this. They never deliver, and that just reflects badly on everybody else who is trying to do their best.
Well, I guess it's cutting into their bottom line because now they're cracking down on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you took me on this path I didn't foresee going on in this show.
Well, it's been a fruitful path. Don't you feel that you have learned something, and that maybe your non-existent audience who is watching right now is like,
if they're interested, yeah. I mean, I hunker down and I start listening in like when people talk this stuff, but like a number of people, they just like, oh, well, what bullshit are they going to talk about today? Although I don't know that they even come here for that, but I keep the production values low. I can only go up.
Sure, exactly. I mean, when you're at the bottom, there's only one way to go. So, but I mean, subjects like this, because look, Lucius, I worked in animation for like 10 fucking years, dude, and the one thing I always prided myself on was I always delivered my work on time. I was never late. And I guess the moral of the story is that even that didn't save me. but when I did do it, people appreciated it. Like, it shows that you're not wasting people's time. People hate it when they think that their time isn't, or at least you don't think their time and money is valuable. You know what I mean? They feel disrespected. Mm-hmm. I think this is something that, I mean, once again, I'm not trying to shit on anyone. I'm just being critical, or constructively critical. I think, some of these bigger campaigns from some of these bigger creators, I think that they're kind of, it's hard for them to sort of see the ground under their feet because they've gotten so big. If that metaphor lands in any way.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I get your reference.
And so they kind of lose sight of sort of the people that, the smaller little, the smaller people who are kind of like holding them up. And
I think people's purse strings, are starting to get a little tighter.
Yeah,
you're starting to think about every expense you're doing. Like, I'm wondering, some of these campaigns I've put a good chunk of money in, and I'm like, it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there, and there's no. I don't even know this calendar year there's any chance of it getting fulfilled. The numbers even, like, I'm like, I could get a refund and I could still back this a year from now and still get it if I wanted, if it was there.
And the other thing is, this calendar year, I think this one's going to be the big one, if you know what I'm saying, in regards to the economy.
Yes, I shudder to think what we're in store for.
I think maybe it's going to be 2008 on drugs.
Probably.
But that's the doomer in me. That's me taking the black pill. But I mean, who knows?
It's it's crazy. Like, I watch Ink Spots because he's a plumber doing plumbing stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm looking for just regular valve caps or something.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I had to go to 4 different stores just to find it. Like, this is a common thing. Like, it's like, I guess in his world, like wanting screws or. Maybe something more than that, but it's that common. Like, it should just be there. Like, the idea of it ever being out is like foreign.
Well, I guess what I'm putting at is like, you've got your money sitting there in that campaign, and then like, let's say worst case scenario, everything goes tits up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you gonna feel, dude? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's like the worst fucking feeling. You're like, it's a mix of panic and dread, and it's like, shit, everything's gone to shit. My money's sitting in this fucking thing, and he's not even going to fulfill it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that shit compounds over time. So.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of, especially like the out of country, like the British are the kind of the main thing, or the Australians. Like they sat on it for so long. Now the VAT tax has been completely restructured, and your shipping costs just went like through the roof. Like in terms of where you were at when you started your campaign, it's like, oh, bye bye, whatever profit margins you had, and you're eating that.
Shit, should I do international orders? Shit, should I? Maybe I should
would
resend
charge
that.
for it, man.
I mean,
If it were me, I would charge for it.
Zach gave me
option,
some.
but...
Yeah, Zach gave me some numbers, but I'm sitting here thinking maybe I should just do what I did last time and just do digital.
That might be the way for everybody moving forward. I mean, to be honest, like, who knows how widespread this is going to be? Like, InkSpots is running out of basic stuff for plumbing. What happens when there's none of it around? What happens when a printer, like their machine gets fucked up, and there's nobody or no replacement to fix it?
Then we'll live in a Death Stranding society.
Kind of, man. And it's just like
we're like porters run around delivering packages to bunkers with a fetus inside a glass jar strapped to their chest, and they try to outrun ghosts.
Yeah,
it'll be that kind of future.
Yeah.
We'll
just be trying to outrun the other looters. Like, that's what it'll be.
The ghost looters. Well, those are called mules. Actually, those are actually an enemy class in Death Stranding.
I haven't played it that far. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like these groups of there's these groups of mules that like former porters, and like they're addicted to delivering things. And so when you go inside their territory, they'll rock up in like their like truck, and they'll try and take your packages off of you because they want the satisfaction of delivering a package.
Okay.
They've lost their minds or something.
Okay.
It's great. Yeah. It's hilarious.
I would be like, okay.
But it's like,
if
cool.
You're going to deliver it. Here you go.
Well, no, that's the thing. They don't deliver it. They just kind of like keep it to themselves and like deliver it to their own post boxes, which they themselves manage, but nobody else can access. It's weird. But I mean, weird world. There's ghosts. So.
And last time we were on stream, I had a couple things still like saved up, and I just wanted to kind of share one of those right now.
Oh yeah, this one.
This is like brilliant. I love when they have big ideas. They're like, this would be a great initiative. How many of these things were like, the people will pick the next name of whatever, and it turned out to be like something horribly racist, or just like they taught the Microsoft AI, like the Twitter account they made, like to just like turn into anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
like
genocidal. They were like, they just put it out there like just clean, and then because it was supposed to learn how to talk, and so it just started like spouting out like racist and anti-Semitic stuff because that's what it learned how to. Because it was just, I guess it was looking at all the wrong sides. It's hilarious.
And this is just one. I mean, this is just more just. This is
newsflash. Something everybody already knew got discovered.
So good job. I applaud them for having the temerity to look for the truth. So congratulations.
And then cover it up.
Yeah. Promptly forget the results.
Yeah. Oh no, this never happened. It was just a bad code.
And I meant to also, we were going over, what's her name? Frost? What was her name? Frosk. That's right. The G4 girl. Yeah. And she never said, she said Olivia Munn wasn't here for your ogling and stuff. I was like, well, I don't know.
And that's just the most tame part.
Well, I did have the one where I think it's just up here somewhere around here is like her with the dangling hot dog that she goes for. And there's all the bikini shots.
Like, where she's in a bikini and shit.
Yeah, I think she had a purpose other than, just being there to report, quote unquote report.
Yes.
Video game news. Yeah.
Because
video game news is just like, it trickles out, like it just happens.
These days, yeah, it trickles down like urine. Did you hear about the
Microsoft
Activision?
buyout? Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
that was crazy. 68
67
billion?
or something. Yeah,
67 billion.
yeah, billion.
Holy shit. Billion with a B.
Yeah, they.
Billion.
So Microsoft, for the people that don't know, Microsoft bought out Activision Blizzard, for 67 billion. They acquired it.
Wait. We should lay some foundation here, Lucius.
Foundation.
Yeah, as to the reason why Microsoft bought out Activision Blizzard. Do you
I mean,
know?
other than they just want to dominate the space. Like, I mean, the problem with
No.
Microsoft is what? Go on. You say.
So what happened was there was this huge scandal that happened, I think, middle of last year, where it was like sexual harassment and sort of like bad management scandal that was going on in Activision Blizzard, which it was a company I nearly worked at. Oh, phew, dodging bullets here, buddy. And basically, it was like all these accusations of male employees like acting inappropriately towards female employees. They even had like this in-office bar called the Cosby Room, which I mean, first of all, an in-office bar is a terrible idea. Second of all, calling it the Cosby Room is like compounding on a terrible idea.
They're if that was mistakenly done before it ever hit that.
No, this was done after the whole Cosby thing.
Yeah, then that's definitely poor taste. And
but
like,
yeah,
what do you
they
think's
would
gonna
have.
happen?
It was mostly the male game designers who like ran that bar, and they would have parties there where they would just act inappropriately. Invite the female employees and act inappropriately around them. Act inappropriately towards them, which I do not advocate for. I do not think that's a good thing to do. I also don't think men and women should be working together. But that's a whole other story we won't get into. That's just my view, but whatever. Anyway, and so yeah, like this, it's just been this long running scandal where top Blizzard people have just been leaving. Jeff Kaplan, the head lead game guy for Overwatch, he left. He left just before before the shit hit the fan. A whole bunch of other guys left. Top brass left, and as this thing has continued on, it's just spiraled more and more out of control. People have been. I think the Californian government, I forget which branch of it, was like they filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard towards them for inappropriate business practices and stuff like that. And it also came out that Bobby Kotick, the head of Activision, the CEO of Activision, knew this was all going on, and he covered it all up. And people have asked him to resign, and he wouldn't resign. And now which fast forward here today, to now where they're like, well, how else can we fucking fix this? Because Blizzard and Activision's fucking reputation is in shambles right now. It's in pieces.
I just heard. I mean, I only watched a couple of people talk about it this morning, and they're like, yeah, there's been like poor management. Like they just haven't even been doing good games. Like,
not only that, it's just everything, just toxic work culture, just everything's just been going to shit. Like on top of the whole sexual harassment stuff.
They're kind of hoping Microsoft can clean house over there, and I'm just like, oh,
well,
I don't know, man, that's a hard ship to turn around. Like,
it makes sense because right, like there was no way that they could come back from this, right? The only way they could have come back from this is if they got bought out. Microsoft comes in, as you say, fires everyone and says, well, now it's under new management now, and Bobby Kotick he's getting the boot finally. They tried to get rid of him. They couldn't get rid of him. And I'm sure Tim Schafer is happy that Bobby Kotick is finally getting his day, because there was a whole thing between those two. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, they've bought it. I mean, Microsoft obviously needs, and Xbox needs all the help they can get.
Blizzard, that's what I was thinking. Is like, they're not really known for originality or like innovation or anything.
But now they have all these IPs.
They have all the developers.
Yeah, like Blizzard and Activision has a lot of fucking really good popular IPs.
There was. I was listening to dude just rattle off all, and even some of them was like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, or two of the properties that they own. right now, and I'm like, those were like PlayStation original titles that like helped push its first console. You know, they were the major kind of like one of the pillar properties in it, and now it's like, yeah, Microsoft owns them. They have Minecraft, which is a huge buy for them. That was 2 billion.
Yeah,
2 billion for Minecraft.
That was no, I thought it was more. I thought it was like 7 or 10 billion.
I thought it was single digits.
I thought it was some crazy amount.
The one I heard today, they said 2 billion, and they're just like, that was a steal compared to 67 billion for Blizzard
maybe I'm
Activision.
remembering wrong, but I thought Notch got paid like way more than that.
He was paid. I mean, he was paid. I mean, for just one game that you did, and he also ran it for a while. Like he already had made money off of it. I kind of thought at the time it was played out, but it's, I guess, a perennial. You know,
I don't know
why
up,
they're going to get into it.
I don't know why after he did the sale and he left that he moved to Los Angeles. I don't know why he did that.
I don't know, and he wasn't really with it. You know, like that crowd. Like I think he was.
Well, he would have massive parties at his mansion.
Though. Yeah, but he was just like, I would, but I don't know. Like I can't mingle with these people. Like he was just like he would have them there, but he was just like the drop of oil in a bottle of water, you know, kind of thing. Like he just didn't mix or something. And I thought he was like, I thought I remember him like flirting with like Trump and the Republicans and stuff like back in that like 2015, 2016 era. But he was like rich enough. He had $2 billion in the bank.
Yeah, dude.
It was just like, I don't fucking
fuck
care.
You money, dude. Of course. Yeah.
He had fuck me money. He could fuck himself and still, like, you know, I don't care. Sue me. I'll take it. Like, I don't care. Yeah.
He should have. I mean, he should have just stayed in Sweden.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know how good Sweden is or whatever, but yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. But $2 billion is just.
But the other thing was, it's like all that money. It's like there was like a rift between him and the rest of the Mojang team that he started up the thing with, and I think his girl left him as well, his wife.
You start making money like that, people will change around you. Like they'll think like, oh well, we're good friends. Can't you just give me some money? It's like,
well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like if I were him and that deal had gone down, I would have given like, because I think he had like a small handful of people on the team, right, that made Minecraft. I think it was like 5 or 6.
Oh, it started out really. I thought it was him and just one other guy is when it started.
Well, yeah, that's where it started out, and then they brought in a few other guys. So it was like 5 to 7 guys, right? I would have like taken that money, paid them out like, you know, a couple of million, given each of them a couple of million, and said, all right, adios, you know, and like, thank you very much, and this is your reward. I mean, no one's gonna like turn their nose up at a couple of million, dude. It's like,
when you got 2 billion, money. When you got 2 billion, and you felt
when you got 2 billion, you can spare a couple of million per team member.
Yeah, I'm not saying he could not spare it. I'm saying those people were probably looking at him like, you know, I was like, I did this huge thing over here. I was like 10% of this.
But that's the thing. It's like if they say that, you say, oh, so you don't want the 2 to 3 million that I'm offering you?
Okay, I'll donate.
If they say no, you're like, all right.
I'll donate to your charity of choice. That's what I'd do. Like, okay, well, since you don't want it, what cause would you send this to? I'll just send it to them instead.
Yeah, that works. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, it's better than nothing. And
for sure.
I mean, I know I'm saying 2 million, but of course it could be more than that. But just, you know, 2 million. That's a lot of fucking money.
It is.
$1 million of something is a lot.
Yes, I agree.
2 million that's twice as much.
But let's do it. I'll do a thought experiment with you. So if you had $1 billion,
yes.
Now that's 1,000 million. So if you give away $1 million to somebody, that's 1,000th of your money, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a good chunk.
Sure.
That's a good fractional chunk of it. Somebody, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'd be kind of like, I'm gonna have to think on this. You know, like even we're good friends, I'd have to think on it. Here's the thing: if you give them that, how good are they going to be with it before they come back again? Be like,
well, no, that's the thing. You say this is because look, well, it depends, right? If you're just giving it to them for nothing, right? They haven't done anything. That's a problem. But context matters. You know, these guys worked on Minecraft. He's sold the company,
Mm.
so theoretically they should be rewarded for their hard work in some manner, rather than him just saying,
I
"Yeah,
would
they're
I
just
would
going to be
probably,
they're
yeah.
being taken care of," which could mean anything. They probably just meant that they weren't going to get fired, which is
Unless
stupid.
unless I like hated you the entire time we worked together,
Mm.
like I would probably throw you a bone on that. Like you helped make this happen. You realized
Yeah.
this to the point that I would see compensate him in that way. But I still think you're talking such huge sums of money. They're always going to be eyeing it as like, no, I'm owed 10 million. I'm owed 20 million. Like they think their part was so much
Well, I
bigger than what
mean,
it was.
that's the thing. If they're going to think that, then you say, well, I mean, look, this is what I'm offering you. You can either take it or you can leave it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you would set the terms. There's no doubt about that.
It's like, you don't. He didn't, like, once again, theoretically, right? If I was doing that, and they say, no, well, I deserve 10 million. Like, well, I'm offering you. I mean, I'd probably like negotiate with them.
But you know
Maybe.
about the psychology experiment where somebody like they give one person $10 and they can split it however they want.
Yeah.
With the other person, and like unless they do pretty much a 5-5 split,
Yeah.
the other person has the power to bomb the whole thing. Like, okay, I don't get money, they don't get money, and like so.
Well,
No
it's a
matter
trust.
what,
It's a trust experiment.
well,
You gotta.
yes,
You gotta trust people.
but it's like no matter what decision you make, you will come out a winner. But if you give the person with the $10 and they're like, I'll keep 9, they get 1, the other person's like, well, fuck you, guy, and they just like they kill it. It doesn't, like, very few people
Sure. I mean, that's
do the cold rationale of like, well, I'm a buck richer, so yeah, I'll take the money. If I don't, I get nothing. Like,
well, I
very few
mean,
people
but
do
that's
that.
it's like what the once again context. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong in your argument. You make a very compelling argument, but it's like you got to think of the context. What the fuck can you do with $1? In today's age.
Yeah, I know.
But you can do a lot with $1 million, and you can do a lot more with $2 million. Maybe
Yeah.
I'd probably maybe give them 3 or 4 million. Maybe it would depend. But if they said, "What, you got 2 billion and I deserve 10 million," I would say, "Look, if I was an asshole, I'm not obligated to give you a goddamn thing because I own this thing. And I'm giving this to you out of the goodness of my heart because you worked on it and you did good work and I want to reward you for it. So do you want the $2 million or not, motherfucker?" And if they begrudgingly say yes, I'm like, yeah, you goddamn right you want the 2 million and that's all you're going to fucking get, bitch. Because your fucking attitude.
I kind of
If you
feel like
ever come to me and ask for more money again, I'm going to tell you to go pound sand.
I kind of get the feeling like you would. I don't know if you ever watched like that classic WWF.
It's looking at $2 million horse in the mouth.
No, like
come on.
There was
what is so hard to wrap your head around?
Hold on. I'm saying I get the feeling like you would take this a step further, where like back in the day, WWF $1 Million Man, he would do this thing like he would ask people from the crowd, "You want to make $100?" and he'd be like, "Lick my shoes," and
what?
like,
No, I wouldn't.
I feel like this. Oh, you want more 2 million? Well, how about you do?
No, what? That is totally not applicable here. What are you talking about?
All right, I thought you might have like a little power trip.
Context.
Like, okay, well,
context,
how
no competition.
What do you think you
the
could do?
choice is up to them. Like if they are like saying I deserve more, and it's like you're giving them a binary choice. It's like you're either going to take this or you don't. That's it.
All right. I feel like we've ran this into the ground.
Yeah, we have. Well, we can talk about other things. Let's change something.
Boom. Let's talk about tits.
Oh yes, Nezuko.
Yeah, this is like the thing that popped off today. Maybe it started yesterday, but I was noticing all over the place today. Where I guess she now has a bust.
No, well the thing is, when Nezuko changes continuously.
She shrinks. Yeah, she shrinks and grows because of her lack of blood intake and sleep and sunlight. I think exposure has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of, I guess, her more demon form. Like she's kind of like chibi demon in the start.
Sort of, yeah. And
I
so
haven't
when
seen
she
anything
becomes,
new, so I don't know
yeah.
anything about this
Well, I
other
mean,
than this
well,
hubbub.
the metaphor I think the artist or story writer was going for with this is that obviously, you know, when she reaches like her peak power, she matures. She's in a more mature form to sort of indicate visually, you know, this is her full power. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and so obviously when she shrinks, she's at, you know, minimum power and she's more childlike.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of visual connotations to that. You know, we obviously see more well endowed and more well developed adults as more powerful as opposed to say children who are like less powerful. You know what I mean? But,
Well, that was even a thing, like with the demons and the like ever since the start of the series. They would
yeah,
start out as child demons, but the more they consumed, the like more either bigger or monstrous, just flat out monstrous they would turn into.
yeah,
Um, so it's not like as if they're breaking the rules of their own, like their own universe or
yeah.
everything. So
Well, I mean,
I honestly,
it's all metaphor, right?
dude, it's just a cleavage shot, and the fact that everyone's like
Well, no,
losing
this is nothing
lifting
new.
flowers.
Puritan Americans have always lost their shit over anything that Japan does because
But
Japan doesn't give a fuck.
what gets me is this guy's post here. I've taught classes of 9 to 12-year-old girls who
Oh
all love
yeah,
anime and think Demon Slayer is the coolest. And it's like, so all the blood and guts, like the decapitations,
yeah.
exploding bodies, burning bodies.
But this is an old chestnut,
This is
dude.
too far.
But that's the thing.
She's
Like that was the religious right was saying the same thing back when Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 and 4 were coming out, where it's like even Jon Stewart when he was on the Daily Show did a piece about it, where they showed I think it was Sonya getting like torn in half from her legs. It was like a fatality or something.
oh
And
yeah,
he said,
I think
"Oh,
yeah.
you know, that is fine, seeing someone get rendered in half from their legs in a gruesome way. But the minute she has a nipple slip,
Right, right.
but
Yeah, I remember.
this is old news, man. Every time everyone loses their shit, everyone starts looking towards culture, and it's mostly Japanese culture that Americans lose their
But it's
shit
so.
over.
I mean, that's PG. That's PG. Like that's hardly anything to. It's barely eyebrow raise worthy, you know. And the other thing that gets me is like a number of the animes I do watch.
Hmm.
Usually there is like the overly busty chick, but she's
Sure.
like usually hampered or embarrassed. Like she's this object of jealousy amongst the females
Hmm.
and ogling amongst the dudes, and like it's just like it's a problem for them. You know, like they're too shy about it. Like their shirts never fit right. They're always getting
Well,
stares. This that, and the
but
other.
I
And then
mean
there's
that's Japanese culture. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's like their sensibilities of what's humorous
right.
and
But they
stuff like
also
that
they
is like
play with
way different from Americans.
they play with other body types too. Like it's not as if it's just that. Like they feature other different like
I mean, not
female
not
personalities
really.
and like body types, like and showcase
What's
them and
the like? What do you
like it.
mean?
Well, there'll be like the one chick who's like flat chested and she gets made fun of for being flat chested the whole time. Like they play off of like everyone's like either shortcomings or over represented qualities. Like and what I've seen, like there's like something there for every type,
Yeah,
you know? Like
yeah.
it's
Well, I
so
mean, not the fat type, obviously, but
occasionally they do
I
that,
mean,
like the
rarely
monster.
though. But that's the
Yeah,
thing. It's like in Japan, there's like they don't
there's
really
not that
have
many fat people.
they don't have an obesity problem because it's like fat shaming is a thing over there, right? And it's all about
Well, then they have like
conformity.
fish heavy diets and stuff. Like they don't
Yeah.
really
Well, I mean,
consume a ton of.
they also have carb heavy diets as well. So
Right, they have rice, but it's not. They don't have nearly the same amount of like food output as we do.
well,
You know, like
the other thing is that's because they're going more for quality rather than quantity. Like, there's a
mhm.
reason why places like in Asia have some of the best food in the world. It's because it's so flavorful, and because the food is so flavorful, you don't really need to eat a whole lot of it to feel satisfied. This has been the one thing I've noticed since I came to America. A lot of the food here. I mean, there is some places where there is good food, and it is in like places like New York and Los Angeles. But other places, like the food is just bland, 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 bland. You do not taste anything, and because you don't taste anything, you automatically want to keep eating more so you can feel that satisfaction. Whereas in Japan, it's just the flavor is so rich and so strong. Like when you eat a strawberry, you really only need to like eat one or two because they taste delicious, and you just like, I only need one or two. Like I know the taste. I feel satisfied now.
Yeah, and I remember one of my coworkers. He played games with guys in Australia. He would play on a Asian server, so he's playing with Australians, and one of the Australians was living in Japan, and he would like send them clips of weird ass shows and things that go on in Japan.
Oh yeah.
But I was talking to him about like, oh, those toilets look pretty like spiffy and everything. He's like, yeah, you got to understand something. Those toilets were designed with Japanese diets in mind. Like these people don't like. Americans would clog this thing up and ruin it. Like these $10,000 toilets you hear about with like all these special effects and little light shows and all this other stuff that like seems like a joke, but like they're not used. Like they're very low flow. Like kind of toilets, so like they wouldn't really work over here. Because I was like, why don't more people have stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, just to clue you in.
It's the same with Australian toilets as well. Yeah, you need really heavy duty toilets for a heavy duty diet. So.
Yeah, nice little aside there before we get to the prize gem.
Oh, here we go.
Of my collected stuff here.
Yes.
Just deserves a full screen blow up if I can get it.
So wait, can you give us some context here before you play it, Lucius?
This is unveiling of the latest golden calf in society right here.
Oh. So like, where was this? Like,
Riga, Latvia. And here we go.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's just like it looks like even when Superman was posed this way, I was kind of like, it's a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he should look heroic, but this is like.
I mean, couldn't they just make her stand there normally?
I don't know. I don't know what you would suppose. And the fact that it's colored, that kind of throws me off too.
Yeah.
Rather than just like a flat stone.
Like bronze or something.
Or bronze, yeah. I think I might have read in the comments somewhere somebody said it was like maybe paper mache, which I'm like, oh, so it's not even going to be there that long. Like, okay, but yeah, I was just like, wow.
But wait, why are they unveiling this new golden calf? Like, why are they doing this?
I mean, it must be an appreciation for all the sacrifice of the TikTok nurses out there, for putting up with the extra workload, and
considering how they fired all the other nurses who
yeah, right. Like, how much of this was a problem of your own making? Because you fell in line with all this other bullshit that's now finally coming out as bullshit. Like Britain.
Have you gotten your booster yet, Lucius?
No, I only did the one shot. I don't think I'm gonna do any more. I mean, right now it's like the Britain just said they're not doing passports, the vaccine passports or masks.
That's amazing.
The Arizona candidate for governor is saying, I'm going to repeal all the mandates, and none of that's flying through if I'm going through. Starbucks announced that they're not going to require their employees get vaccinated anymore. It's all falling apart. Like, there was a story about
2 years of them trying to get us to do this. 2 fucking years of putting us through hell.
And it's fun. And I mean, today, other clips too. I mean, I hate to get too political because it's just like everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
But like Joe Biden was having the press conference, and like the reporters were like, with all due respect, sir, like they would like start with this and then be like, your ratings are at an all-time low. You haven't solved the crisis. This country is just as torn as it was when you started. How do you think you're doing? And like he gives this bullshit thing of like, well, what I think he said.
Hey, come on, man.
They asked, do you think you overpromised? And he said, No, I don't think I overpromised. I think I've actually outperformed what I was supposed. He
So he's
said this. I
senile.
outperformed.
Yeah,
This didn't seem like one of his senile moments, just like delusional. Or if you interpret it in the right context, yeah, he did outperform our expectations.
just not in
Not quite
the
in the way he was
positive way.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
sort of in the negative trending.
but it
Yeah,
was,
like
dude. It was several clips of people just like really sticking it to him, and I'm like, oh, I think everyone had kind of guessed that he was being set up, like the when Trump was in office. There, I think it's the 25th Amendment or the 26th Amendment, one of the two.
25th.
25th, where
Yeah,
the president is deemed to be incapable of holding office, like he's just physically or mentally incapable of performing the duties of the office anymore. He can be basically stripped of it, and the vice president gets put in place. And
yeah.
people, even though it was being kind of brought up against Trump, people thought this was like a way to prime the public for Joe Biden being
Well, no, I
the person
mean
this is against. And
this
now
is the
the
but
media
this is
just doesn't do this out of the blue, dude. Like they've
yeah,
been working hand in hand this whole time.
yeah,
I get the feeling like they're setting it up
yeah.
for that.
No, this is all by design because there's a reason why they put Kamala in there.
Right.
So
And
that
I think
she by default becomes the first female president of color. And then they can check that box and say, we did it, we made history.
and they were even saying like your initiatives are dead in the water, you're not going to get this voter rights thing, which is another thing. Like now all of a sudden uh illegal results might happen because
Illegal
people are turning
results. What do you mean?
Republican. Like the voting might be rigged, is what they're saying. Like there's this whole push for voters rights, basically to cinch up even further like the controls over voting, and following it more and being able to rig it more. They have more, fingers inside of it with this new measure they're trying to do. They're trying to kill the filibuster on it. They're like, there's so many ways. Like they're just like everything they said Trump was going to do, they are now doing. Like they spent this first year just overturning it all, and it's just nuts. Like no one's able to see it, and I see these like deluded people saying like, oh yeah, there's more jobs than ever, the stock market's up, and then I'm like, inflation's not really a problem. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Where the hell are, like, what world have you been living in this past year, and especially like the past 3 months? Like it's just been ratcheted up, like going, like, the thing that where really I start noticing is like just when your food, like your basic food items start going up. Like it was $1.50, now it's $2.
Yep.
And nothing's on sale, or when it is on sale, it's like 50 cents off, like where it used to be half off, like whatever. It's just like it's and that's where it's like it's adding up on every single item that you get, because I think it starts with fuel, and then that like creeps through slowly, and now it's just shortage of parts and things to do. Like I'm kind of like, what the fuck are people gonna do? Like this is completely undermining the way our whole society is going to function.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, they had to get the Green New Deal to happen somehow.
I mean, but it's like they're not going to have they're not going to have that either. Like it's like you're not.
Well, no, I mean, think about it. They already have. It's like airlines. Remember what Ocasio-Cortez said? She said, people got to stop flying, right? Because flying planes create emissions, which destroys the environment. So people got to stop flying. Look what they did. Now, airlines are going under. No one really wants to travel. It's a pain in the ass to travel.
Oh yeah, it's a giant pain in the ass.
And and they wanted to get rid of meat. The beef industry, because farting cows apparently destroys the environment. And so they're jacking up the price of that, and it's all they're getting what they want.
So it's just like, let's sink every industry there is, and then what are you going to do when you do that? Well,
that's the thing with feminism and communism. Like, it's not designed to, help anyone. It's designed to destroy everything. And when you put in environmentalism, mix that all up, and you got a pretty deadly cocktail, my man. Or at least I think.
Well, we'll find out here shortly what's going to happen.
Are you drinking water or are you drinking booze?
That was water.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of well, I really had lined up for the show.
Well, we filled an
I've
hour.
been
That's
a
pretty good.
yeah,
We filled an hour.
I've been up for like over a day. So
Jesus, dude, how are you
yeah,
doing this?
just I'm trying to, like I told you, man, like my sleep cycle's been all over the place. Like that like
That's
so
crazy.
I'm trying to like reset it back, so I'm forcing myself to like stay up. And I
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah. That's a good way to
probably
do it.
4 hours ago, I was ready to pass out, but I like
You
fought
power
through
through.
it, and
Yeah.
then like I got like a second wind. But I think the moment I like give myself time to rest, I'll probably be like out like a light.
Yep. And then
Oh, but I
hopefully.
did
Oh.
one thing I did watch and I liked
Yep.
the Last Duel. The
Oh,
Matt
the one
Damon,
the one that flopped.
Well, I think it just flopped because it was it's a Ridley Scott film, so I was interested in on that alone. I
Okay.
like Ridley Scott, and I was interested in the look of the movie, but I don't think it did a really good justice in the trailer. And at the same time, it's in the middle of this whole COVID bullshit, and it's not spider it's like not like the hit thing, it's kind of like it has
It's
to be
not the
something to
Vogue.
sell.
Yeah, it's not the Vogue thing right now.
If we were in open conditions, like there's no movie restriction, you don't have to worry about going out in public. Like I think you just turn off the faucet, the feed to the movie theaters. People are used to not going into the movie theaters, and it's also part of the I watched it on HBO,
Yeah.
HBO Max, so it's in their deal there. So I just watched it on that, and I actually really digged it. I mean, it's a very simple story. It doesn't get so. I'm not sure how much you know about it, but essentially, it's the last um, issued duel to the death to decide innocence or guilt.
Mm.
That was under like the king's grace or whatever. Like it was condoned by the government itself. There were other duels that were honor duels, just taken outside of like any procedure, but this is one where like the crown itself like was going to determine how things became like what the actual result of it was in the end.
Yeah.
um and essentially it just follows, you know these two guys who like just they start having these growing animosities, and then a woman gets in the middle of it who claims she was raped by one, and he's fighting for the honor of his wife
Mm.
against the other. And like you get the point of view basically from each one of those characters, um the husband, the rapist, and the woman, and each account is a little different from the other, so you don't know exactly what to believe completely, because the husband presents himself as this kind of moral protector. The other guy uh, looks like as though he's given them more grace than he showed in the guy's first story.
Mm.
And then the wife is kind of giving this countervailing, like, no, actually the husband's pretty cruel, um, and vindictive, because she's looked at more as property than actually his beloved wife.
Mm.
And in the end, so that's the entire buildup, and then you just get into this like slugfest. Like, I mean, this is a brutal like medieval fight between the two of them, and you're just like, holy shit, who's actually going to come out of it? Because if the husband loses, then the woman's also found guilty for false testimony. Because basically, whoever wins is it's trial by combat essentially.
Mm.
The winner of the fight is deemed the innocent or whatever. The other one's guilty. So if the husband loses, then the wife also gets killed, and like they disclose to her, like while they're doing the questioning of her, you're going to get burned alive when if you get found guilty of this. Like, we're not just going to kill you, we're going to burn you alive. We're going to strip
Jesus.
you naked, cut off your hair, tie you to a pyre and light it, and then it's like, by the way, you could live 20 to 30 minutes this way before you pass away. And she's suddenly like terrified, like, because the mother-in-law, who's like, you should shut your fucking mouth you shouldn't have said anything, and just repeal everything you said, suffer whatever the consequences are, like lose your honor rather than risk everything else. And then like only in the middle of this trial does she realize, oh shit, like not only might I might die in this horrific way. And she happens to get pregnant from like the time of like the rape incident. Yeah, so
the rapening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of giving away some of the major things on it, but I think it's more the dynamic is more the intrigue in the whole thing. But yeah, I really dig that. I thought it was a really good story. But it took a while for me to get into it, and it's kind of like it starts with the two of them like in their separate like getting ready bunker, like the back gym locker kind of thing or whatever, getting ready for their duel, and then it just cuts and then starts the story from the beginning.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I thought it was a pretty good movie because it's set in like 1300s France, and like I said, it's the last like recorded duel in their history, and apparently it's got a lot of like mythos in the French culture and intrigue, about like just exactly what happened, because it's pretty much kind of how they all explained it. Like the dude's like, no, I didn't rape her, she wanted it, she invited it because she had a cruel husband and I loved her. And then she's like supposedly protecting her honor, and in terms of the movie, like essentially she was raped, but she's considered property of the husband. Like it's more like how he dealt an injustice to the husband of her than her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a cool flick.
Bitches causing problems as usual.
Well, I kind of was like, oh, that's where they're gonna go with it, but
they called it the Me Too film, didn't they?
It kind of is, but it's a very, very indirect way of getting there, and it's not as if, I don't feel like it was a cheat, because it was just like, yeah, this woman was offered to this guy basically as a way of bargaining, because her father was disgraced for being a traitor to the crown. Like he aligned himself with somebody else. So to save his own family's name, he marries his daughter to a guy who has an honorable name, but he has no money or holdings really. He's kind of broke. So he gets the money from the father and the girl, and then he lost his wife and child to like plague or something. So he can start his family name up again. His own the Matt Damon character can start up his family's name again, because she's a young bride, and essentially it's kind of like there's no like love involved. It's a transaction essentially. I mean, that's what marriage was back then. Like,
oh yeah,
offering a dowry, all this. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of, like, it was a trade kind of thing, a transaction.
Women, because women made babies and people needed babies.
It was very much like an arranged marriage thing, and at the same time too, like women weren't considered on the same level as men. So I don't think it was like it was, but it was a very, it's probably the most easy way to take it in. Like I think they did it true justice in it. Like she was just kind of only trying to represent herself, but she was ignored at so many levels. And in the end, like the husband, I won't give away the ending. But, yeah.
Damn. All right.
But yeah, I mean, it sucks you in. Like the her story, like I was like, it did make me sick. Like watching it, I was just like, oh, this is kind of gross, man. Like I kind of liked this character, and then it gets to the point, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. And then I was like, well, maybe because it's his version of things, or the other guy's version of things, it's different. I don't know, how's it going to play out when they show another point of view.
And then you say, oh, this is even more gross than the
previous
one.
Yeah, it was, man. It was, dude. And that makes like that final fight just like you're so like into it, because the one guy's just been dogged the whole time, and you're just like, you really like are put it, if you don't know how it's going to end up, like you're like put in the seat. So I don't know, I should have just said spoilers.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
But what aren't spoilers is when you will be posting reviews to comics. When's that going to happen, Lucius?
So it's gonna be, I was kind of touching base with you, make sure I didn't overexpose your book and everything. But
fucking go ahead anyway.
all right, I'll do what I want to do.
Just don't go crazy.
I'll run it by you if you want me to run it by you.
No, just do it.
All right. So yeah, I'll try to do that within the next couple of days. Put that up. I kind of want to do it all in a shot.
You didn't have to. You're gonna do reviews of other books as well, though, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna try to keep it relevant. Like there's some books is just like, well, I guess you could buy it on eBay, and I might do that. I might just be like, well, on eBay, the going price for this book is blah 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 blah.
$2.
Who knows? It might be. And I'm also like, I'm kind of more going for the book, less about the stretch goal add-ons and everything. Although those can be cool. Like I do think some of them are cool. Like I definitely put up more money for the Monster MD shirt just because I like that fucking shirt design. But that was an extra bonus I added on anyway. So it's not like the core book, but that was a great core book anyway. My thing about that was like just how long it was for the wait, but it was worth the wait. I was just surprised how much was in that book. I was like, damn, this is a tome. Like it wasn't just like I was expecting like a basic 40 page or something, like 30, 40 page one, and that was like 80, 90 pages, something like that he did.
Yeah.
And I fucking love the artwork. I love the concept.
Oh, of Monster MD?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there might be some more surprises coming down the pipeline for that one.
Terror in the Trenches is one I'm looking forward to a lot too.
Okay.
And did you see Vaughn's vial thing?
I did. He showed me.
What do you think about that?
Ago. I'm unsure. I don't know how he's going to make that work. I mean, if it was like a lamp or like an LED inside it, just sort of like it's like a cool little fun thing, like a lamp, maybe. But I'm not sure how he's going to handle that.
Do you know? Did you ask him like, can you even open it, or is it just a solid one piece?
No, I didn't ask him that actually. I probably should have asked him.
Because if you could at least like pop it open yourself, like you could always like, I'll just put like 100 in there. Like that's my little like. Maybe no one will ever think to like look in there. That'll be like my safekeeping money or whatever. I don't know. It'd be like a cool extra. A light thing would be cool though. To have in there. I thought it was a neat idea, but for me, like that's kind of like you're super established. He
wanted me to color the book. I was like, I'm trying to color my own book right now, dude. But no, yeah, you're right. It is kind of like a thing where you're more established. But I think he's sort of there already. Like he raises big money for his campaigns, and I think Terror in the Trenches isn't going to be any different. And Monster MD2 is going to be even bigger. So I don't know. We might do something cool for that. Anyway, before we head out, we should probably head out on a good note. After we give our salutations.
All right. So we'll check back in next week with everybody, and we'll leave you with this beautiful pastoral.